What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ and welcome back to another build guide. Today I'm going to be showing you guys on how you can reach over 11 to 12 million damage a hit on Hailey, as well as on her ultimate sniper, hitting over millions of damage per shot as well. She's an absolute beast of a character, able to take down any hard mode boss within seconds, and honestly I'm having a very fun time playing as her. And come on, who doesn't like a real cannon that's a sniper and cryo element? I do want to say real quick, if you guys think I earned your like and subscribe throughout any point in the video, if you guys consider hitting that, that is currently the best way to support me. It really lets me know you guys are enjoying these videos, and it really helps with YouTube algorithm as well. Alright, let's go right into the video. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go over the character real quick, her abilities, like a general overview. So our first skill is called Cryo Round. Basically what this does is it shoots bullets at enemies. Up to 9 enemies can be targeted, or you can shoot 9 bullets at 1 target. Basically this is going to hit them, do decent damage, not a lot, but the main reason why this ability is so useful is because it inflicts cryo and it has a very low cooldown. Now what is cryo? Basically what cryo is we will do additional damage to that target. It says here additional damage 50%, and we can stack that up to 9 times. So we do a lot of additional damage to that said target. So that's why we use cryo rounds pretty much as many times as possible whenever it's off cooldown. Just keep in mind the MP cost and kind of balance that, but this is going to allow us to do a lot more damage with all of our skills. The next ability we're talking about is Storm Snare. This is absolutely the best ability for Hailey. You're going to be doing tens of millions of damage with this one. It's absolutely insane to see how much damage you can actually hit with it. And you know, like I said, we were hitting 12 million damage with this, and the reason for this is because it has such a high skill power modifier. Now, what does the skill actually do? Basically, we pull out our gigantic cryo sniper, unleash a chill vortex around us, basically knocking back enemies, and we fire this massive like freezing beam. This also will inflict cryo on basically anybody we hit. Like I said, it does so good damage because it has an 8900% skill power modifier base, which is absolutely insane on this skill, as well as the freezing AoE beam having a 4500 damage skill power modifier. This skill does absolutely insane amount of damage, and this will inflict cryo as well. Now all of our abilities will inflict flash freeze, basically, you know, slowing the enemy and kind of reducing their action speed, what they can do and stuff like that. So basically all of our skills will do this, but this skill is absolutely amazing and insane for DPS bursting. Now the next skill that we're going to have basically up 100% of the time is Hailey's buff called Cold Fury. Basically what this does is every second we will get Cold Fury, which will decrease our movement speed, but will greatly increase our firearm skill crit rates and firearm pen. Also at max stacks, we will get 20% more skill crit damage and firearm skill critical hit damage as well, which is absolutely absurd. As well as getting more, like I said, skill crit rate, pen, firearm skill crit rate, and all that per stack. And we can get up to 16 stacks. So this is really good, especially for her last ability, which we'll talk to in a second, as well as, you know, any of her other abilities, because that skill crit rate is going to give us a lot more damage as well. Now her last skill here is called Zenith. This is her like ultimate sniper. Basically we pull this out, and every time we hit an enemy with it, we will greatly increase our pen, firearm attack, and we will also deal additional chill skill damage to them as well. Now, this has a decent skill power modifier at 3600, but basically I like to use this kind of as a finisher. We go in with our number 2 ability, which is our Storm Snare. We do this to do our huge burst damage on an enemy, and then we'll go ahead and pop our Zenith out, as well as spamming our cryo round, because we can use cryo round while we're in Zenith form. So spam cryo round, shoot the enemy so weak points with Zenith, and basically after we run through our rounds of Zenith, they're basically dead. Now Zenith does have 4 max shots, but we can't increase that with more ammo capacity on our weapon, our stats rolled on it, and so on. I've got it up to 5, but I think we can go higher. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing ability. You're going to do a lot of damage with it, but this is definitely the finisher in my opinion of Hailey, as well as leaving, you know, Storm Snare to be your insane burst skill. Now the last thing we're talking about is our passive. Basically the farther away we are from the enemy, the more weak point damage we will get. So basically if we are 25 meters or more away from the enemy, we will get 50% more weak point damage, which is absolutely amazing. So that's why we want to be in ranges most of the time. This is why we can get that damage increase for all of our skills, or no matter what we're doing against that enemy. Now that we talked about the actual character and abilities, let's get into the mods and why we're running each mod. So we're going to be running some type of module to increase capacity, whether that be shock punch, long distance maneuvering, whatever. Go ahead and run that. I just need to upgrade my long distance and throw it over this. Next, we're going to be running focus on chill. The main reason running this is for these chill skill power, going to give our, you know, abilities a lot more damage, and we also get some stuff on cooldown, so it's not that bad, but the main reason is for that skill power. Next, we're running spear and shield. Now you can run a different thing here. I like to run Spear and Shield just because it gives a little bit more skill power, but you can easily run HP amplification. This will give you more max HP, and it is a lot better than Spear and Shield because it is, in this game at least for right now, defense in the later stages isn't that insane compared to HP. Having more HP will increase your survivability rather than more defense. So I would run HP amplification over Spear and Shield, but I like to see the damage numbers and squeeze every little bit of increase I can. So that's why I run Spear and Shield here in this slot. Then obviously HP just for more survivability, it's a no-brainer. Then we're going to be running Skill Con for skill critical hit damage. This is just going to increase the damage of our skills even more. Then we run Emergency Measures for more crit rate to get the crit chance up, as well as the critical hit damage up a little bit more as well. Then Front Line is just the reverse Emergency Measures. We're going to get more crit damage and more crit hit as well. Next, we're running Dangerous Ambush, and the reason why we're running this is because we're hitting so hard, we're able to basically stagger any boss that we're going against, and we're going to get a massive amount of skill power increase when they're actually in that stunned state. And plus, if we're in a group play and they're not targeting us, we're still going to get skill power increase, which will increase any of our skills to do even more damage than they already do. So it's absolutely a must, and it's amazing to use as well, especially once we can get those bosses in the stun state. You're going to see a massive damage increase no matter what your ability you're using on Hailey. Next, we're running MP conversion for the massive amount of skill cooldown we get. This is going to allow our abilities to be up even quicker, especially our first ability, Cryo Round on a 4-second cooldown. We're basically going to just spam this every time it comes up just to keep the debuffs on the enemy going. And it's a must skill to use as much as you can. Obviously though, just be mindful of the mana cost to make sure that you're sustaining it as much as possible. And if you're running low, obviously, then you can try to prioritize some other skills if you want, but try to have Cryo Rounds up as much as possible for that damage increase. Now, the last one we're running here is Shot Focus. The reason for this is because it gives us firearm attack increase, which will go ahead and increase our Zenith because it does actually go off of firearm attack as well as a little bit, as well as, your skill damage and skill power modifier and stuff like that. But this will increase the damage of the Zenith that it actually does, so that's why we run it here. And the negative 50% on skill power modifier does nothing because we have insane amount already. We have a 3600 base skill power modifier on Zenith and a 3800, an 8900 base on our Storm Snare. So that, a little bit of 15% does absolutely nothing. And that 50% firearm attack, you're going to see a greater DPS increase for Zenith. So that's why we run it. Now, the last slot here, I'd probably put in Nimble Fingers just to give us more skill cooldown to try to get the, cryo rounds up even quicker. But you can throw basically any mod you want into, whether that be a immunity mod or not immunity, but some type of antibody mod for more tankability. But basically whatever you want to run here, you can, but I would suggest running Nimble Fingers. Now, if you did want to focus on your Storm Snare and your cryo round for like AoE clearing, or you wanted to see how quick you can get your Storm Snare up, I think you can get around a 5-6 second cooldown. Might be really good for spamming on bosses as long as you can keep your MP up. I would go ahead and run MP conversion, Nimble Fingers, some type of cooldown on your Reactor. Basically, we're going to go for as much cooldown as possible to get the cooldown of Storm Snare and cryo round down, so we can spam it for clearing and to spam our Storm Snare to do massive damage on a boss as well. But this build that I show you right here is generally the best build that you're going to be probably running majority of the game with her. It's just an absolute powerhouse. You're going to be hitting millions of damage no matter what ability you're using, and it's just going to shred through bosses within seconds, as well as tanky elites. I'm absolutely in love with this build, and I think you guys will be as well. Now we talked about that, we're going to talk about weapons. Now, one thing I will mention on Zenith is it does take your base damage as your equipped weapon. So obviously Afterglow is not best in slot here. You would want to run Piercing Light because it has a higher base attack. It's going to give you a lot more damage, but I was testing and it does seem that your mods on your weapon actually do affect the DPS to some extent. So I would go ahead and definitely try, like I said, to mod out Piercing Light. That will do more damage. But if you have an Afterglow that's fully modded like me, or close to fully modded, it's going to be a little bit better than your Piercing Light until you can level that up. So what would I be running on the Afterglow and Piercing Light? Basically what you see right here is what I'd be running on both of them. Weak point expansion for more weak point damage, and then obviously weak point sight as well for more weak point damage. Action reaction for more firearm attack, as well as rifling reinforcements. Both of these will increase damage. And then your firearm crit will increase. So that's why we run Better Con and Concentration Priority to get even more firearm crit damage. And then you could run Focus Fire for more weak point. You could throw better insight on for more crit. I'm not really too sure if that influences the critical hit chance of the skill. I don't think it does, but I have it on here regardless. You could do any basically mod you want in this slot. And then the last two, I just do Insight Focus for a little bit more crit rate and firearm crit damage, as well as Concentration Stabilizer for more crit damage as well. Now we go into the Reactor. My Reactor is pretty dog. You can get much more DPS out of it, but basically you're going to want to go for a Frozen Singularity Reactor with Chill Singular on the skill power boost ratio. That's going to be the best thing you can get because her skills that do damage, which is her 2 and 4, are both singular as well as chill, so that's why we go for that to get the most damage out of those as possible. Then you would want to go for skill crit damage and what do you call it, bonus skill attack versus Colossus. This is going to give you the most damage possible when you're going against bosses and stuff like that, but obviously I didn't get it here. We can't go for a gold one either because to go right now currently in the game you can only go for a chill tech and chill dimension gold, with high power rounds being a mounted weapon on it, which is what we're going to need if you're going in your Zenith. Regardless, even if you don't go in Zenith, you still are going to need singular for your 2, so we can't go for a gold one right yet unless you already have one previously farmed out, which I do not. So I went ahead and farmed just a purple one. Like I said, you would want to go for skill crit damage and bonus fire skill attack versus Colossus. That's going to give you the most DPS possible to try to roll that on your reactors. Now we get into our external component set. So there's two sets you can run here. The first set is the Slayer set, and this is going to give us basically more rounds per magazine, which is going to give us more rounds in our Zenith weapon, as well as a little bit on the skill cost reduction, which is really nice, but it gives us 26% more skill power, which is going to give our abilities more damage. Now this set is, like I said, the one I recommend, and the reason why is because the damage increase that you get on this is going to be up 24/7. There's going to be no conditions, no do X you'll get more damage and nothing like that. It's always going to be there. That's the reason why I recommend it. But if you want to try your luck and try to get in the groove of keeping distance to get that max weak point damage, which is 25 meters, as well as keeping damage on the enemy to get even more damage, which would result in more damage in the Slayer set, you could go ahead and running the Polar Knight set. Now basically what this set does is each time we inflict an enemy with frostbite, we get more firearm crit damage and skill crit damage up to 10 stacks for 5 seconds. But like I said, it's a 30% chance. It's a little bit RNG. Plus you got to worry about, I got to keep it up. I got to keep my stacks up. You have to have your cryo rounds under 5 second cooldown to make sure that you can keep the stacks being built so they don't decay. Plus, like I said, the cryo round doesn't have that much of a range to it, only about a 30-35 meter range. So you only have about a 10-15 meter range of play in between the max damage of our passive to the actual range of the ability. So it's hard to really go ahead and juggle both of those to keep both up at the same time. So that's why I recommend going the Slayer, but the Polar Knight would give more damage up if you can juggle those and keep max distance, plus keep your max stacks up with the Polar Knight set, and so on. Now the stats you'd want to be looking for on your external components is max HP and defense if you can. Obviously you want to go for primarily max HP with substat max HP if you can, but anything max HP and defense is what you want to go for. Like I said, later stages max HP is better than defense, but roll what you can, prioritizing those two stats. So that's basically it for the build. We cover Reactor, external components, weapons, and the build of the character, as well as the general overview. Like I said, she's amazing to play. It's really insane to see how much damage she can put out. I'm still kind of finding stuff out with her, so I might do an updated build in the future once I fully get her 100% min-maxed out and figure some more stuff out with the external components, reactors, some of her abilities, and so on. I definitely know I can push even more, but right now it's absolutely insane what we're able to achieve with her, doing 12 million damage with her too, doing 5 million damage every shot with her Zenith sniper. It's absolutely insane, and I know you guys are really going to love this build. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day or night depending on when you're watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.